What's up guys, and welcome back to a brand new video and a brand new career mode episode for round number 16 for the Japanese Grand Prix here at Suzuka. And if you guys did miss the previous episode, then I do urge you to go check it out in the top right hand corner of the screen on the card annotation for the Malaysian Grand Prix round number 15. A very interesting race and a very good one in that regard, and also quite a tasty finish, which does make things very interesting for this particular race. But if you guys are enjoying this episode, please do slap a like on it off the bat. Let's see if we can try and smash 250 likes on this, and I'll try and get the next episode up tomorrow. And it's just a good gauge for the channel to know also support-wise if things are going well or not. But here for Suzuka, and we're getting towards the end of the season now, and we need to get a big result here, because even though we are leading the championship going into this race, Raikkonen did get a lot of points back on his last race, and he's looking pretty racy. And this is a track where the car feels absolutely incredibly well hooked up, but for some reason the pace isn't there 100%. I feel like I'm slightly behind where I want to be, so I'm having to find a bit of pace in places where I shouldn't really be doing it. So hopefully we can try and maybe get that sorted out by qualifying. But straight off the bat, I've realised over this race weekend, especially doing the race strategy test here, I realised the soft compound tyre wasn't really working that well for me. I did change my setup a couple of times, and I do change it going into qualifying, so maybe that might help me out. But based off of practice, the soft compound tyres were not particularly great. Like, they're not bad, but they're not spectacular, so I'd much rather be on a super soft tyre, or maybe even a medium, to be honest. So that's something to keep into account for the race. But hopefully with a setup change or two, we can hopefully work a little bit better in qualifying. But as you can see, we're now in Q1 here for our first lap, and only lap in Q1, and we're going to comfortably get a comfortable lap time on the board there for P2, and that would actually see us through rather safely into the second part of qualifying. As you can see, they're looking at the final Q1 results there. Good result, P7, Ocon in P3, and overall pretty much normal order there as we now go into Q2. And I've actually gone for the super soft compound tyres here because I didn't have the confidence to go for the soft compound tyres. I don't know why, I just wasn't feeling it, and I wanted to just put in a safe lap with the super softs and make sure that I get a good lap on the board. And I mean maximum fuel mixture here, and I'm really pushing the car to the limit, and I can actually go fastest in Q2 here with a couple of minutes left on the clock. So very good lap there in the second part of qualifying. However, once the session would end, we would actually finish in first place, surprisingly. However, I wasn't believing that completely, because the car felt good, but I feel like the others in the AI had a little bit of time left in reserve. But if you look where Ocon is, obviously that's a good representation of where the car really should be performing. So I did feel like I was pulling something out the bag. But as you can see, in Q3 now, that was my first attempt for P4, and now we're going to run aboard for my best attempt of the session here, and an entire lap around the brilliant Suzuka circuit. So onto the pit straight now, and very important to get a good exit out of the front chicane to really get the maximum straight line speed here, and then into turn 1 absolutely flat out, and then brake into turn 2, 5th gear, possibly 4th, maybe even 3rd if you want to. I keep it in 5th in this particular situation, as we then go into turns 3 and then turn 4. Very nice run through there, critical to get the curbing absolutely perfect as we then go through turn 5 and then into turn 6 here. I've gone onto the curb a little bit too much there, lose a little bit too much speed, and then flat out through turn 7 up through the Dunlop curve. And so far, it's a good start to the lap as we now go into Degner 1. Slight little lift, but hardly nothing. And then to Degner 2, 4th gear, possibly 3rd. Really using all of the track available here, keeping the car within track limits at all times. And then we go into the Kobayashi curve or the hairpin, and I get it all wrong on the brakes, locking up the left front pretty severely there, which isn't going to help me one bit. So hopefully we could try and pull that back, but that was definitely, I'd say, a couple of tenths lost there into the hairpin. But hopefully we could try and pull something out the bag here as the lap unfolds now for the remainder of qualifying. As we now go into Spoon curve here, sacrificing the first one slightly to try and set ourselves up for the exit of the second part of Spoon. And so far, it's a good lap, and Bottas improves to first place, then Raikkonen goes faster still, so people improving left, right and centre at the moment, and we're currently 9 tenths off the pace in sector 2, so the lap is not as competitive as I would have liked, but still, it's coming together rather nice as we now go into the final chicane for the final time here. Very aggressive over the curbs, really trying to get maximum lap time, and then pull over to the right hand side to make the run to the line as short as possible. Open up with DRS, and the lap is done and dusted. And the question is, where is it going to put us? P5, so not too bad, and actually a better lap than I expected, better position than I expected, because like I said, I feel like we lacked a bit of pace all weekend. So I'm quite happy with that lap. That's a lap that I've sort of pulled out of nowhere, and that could have been maybe P4 if we didn't make that mistake into the hairpin. But Raikkonen, my championship rival, sticks it on pole position, so that's not ideal for us. So we've got work to do in the race tomorrow to try and overturn that, because we need to try and beat Raikkonen. If not, then do some severe damage limitation. Also, Ocon there, P7, so good result for him, and Romain Grosjean getting into the top 10 for the Haas team. But other than that, that was the story of qualifying here at Suzuka. We're now going to move into Sunday for round 16 of the season for the race. Okay, so here we are then for Japan, and round number 16 of the season is about to begin. I'm looking forward to this one. This track is absolutely unbelievable with these cars, especially now this car is an absolute monster, and in terms of its development cycle, obviously now it's a really, really fast car, so I'm looking forward to it's going to make it for a very, very exciting race. In terms of the race itself, dry conditions expected throughout the entirety of the race, so we shouldn't have to worry about putting on wet tyres at any point over the entire Sunday. But then in terms of the race strategy, however, we are going for the two-stop strategy. I thought the one would have been a major issue, but based off of practice, that tyre didn't seem that bad. However, looking at it again, the super softs apparently don't last around here now, so I'm not sure what to believe. So we're just going to sort of just wing it and see what the tyres feel like, and hopefully it goes pretty well for us. But other than that, I'm looking forward to it, and it should be a pretty damn good race. In terms of the fuel, we are going a little bit over just to play it safe, but P5 on the grid. The task is simple: damage limitation, if not try and beat Kimi Raikkonen. So let's try another good race today and see if we can try and get ourselves at least onto the podium. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the race. Right then, here we go. 5 red lights for the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka. And it's lights out and away we go, and it's a pretty poor start actually, really bad reactions and also slow to get off the line. Ocon and Ricciardo have flown past me already into time, and Ocon's going up the inside of Ricciardo. There's contact, those two are going round side by side, and I'm just going to squeeze up the inside. Ricciardo seems to have saved the car though, and they kept it pointing in the right direction. But we managed to just basically recover our starting position there. So very, very poor start, but luckily a bit of wise driving, just sort of winning back the position that I'd lost. But right now, Raikkonen leads the way, and then it's 2 silver arrows, and then Sebastian Vettel. So my title rival is given the opportunity here to try and stretch his legs, and he started the race on soft compound tyres, if I'm not mistaken. So he shouldn't be that fast, and I think all 4 of us here should be able to catch him. So let's see what the pace is like as this race sort of opens up for the first few laps. Oh wow! Okay, never mind. We're not gonna pause there, because that was a completely unexpected overtake. We're just gonna keep it going, to be honest. And we made the move on Vettel without even really meaning to. So Ricciardo also slipped through, but very nicely done there. Wasn't expecting it, but I just sort of locked up and I had nowhere to go, so I just committed to the inside line. Still managed to easily make the apex. So that is us past Sebastian Vettel, and they're up into P4 now. So let's continue on here. Good start, good opening lap to this race in the end. Right, definitely feel way more racy than I did in qualifying, and the car seems to have much better race pace. But Bottas right now holding everybody up. He's not got great pace, so I think myself and Hamilton will be passing him fairly shortly. This lap DRS now gets enabled, so I think Bottas might be struggling a little bit by the end of this lap. Right, here we go for the dive on the brakes on Lewis, because this is getting way too frustrating for me. I'm just going to go for it into the hairpin. That's going to be my main overtaking spot today, I think, because I'm just really good on the brakes into there, and we need to get past Lewis because he's too fast, in the sense of I can't double toe the Mercedes, because Lewis has got too much of a toe on Bottas for me to get past Lewis. So I need to clear him so that I get a clear chance of getting past Valtteri Bottas. So let's pick up the slipstream now on Valtteri, like I said, and I'm going to hopefully try and have a run on him into turn 1. That's what I want to try and do here. So I'm just going to pick up this toe, get a nice run, get nice and close into the final chicane, and then launch one into the first corner here. So there we go, get nice and close on the brakes into the final chicane now. Let's attack the curbs. Good exit, not quiet, but Bottas peels in, so that's perfect, because that's going to completely unleash me now. And with DRS assistance wide open, we can now floor it in clean air and chase after Raikkonen, who's on the soft compound tyres. So let's get the hammer down and set some good lap times. Right, now Lewis comes in, so I'm going to stay there for one more lap. That was my scheduled pit stop lap. As you can see, I've just clocked up a personal best, and I'm going to use a little bit of rich mix now to try and really push on this in lap. Right, here we go. Then we're going to come in for our first stop of the race here into the pit lane. Let's hope that we've pushed enough. Raikkonen setting a fast lap of the Grand Prix, but there we go into the pit lane. Good pit entry there. Solid speed limit. Now we've got to see if we can have a good pit stop here. It's got to be very quick, 2 seconds if possible, and that's very good. 2 seconds, bang on, exactly what I needed to actually come out ahead of Grosjean there and have him not hold me up. So good job from the boys. Very good pit stop onto the soft compound tyres, and now we've got to see where the Mercedes boys are and have we done enough to be ahead of them. So here we go, off the limiter now, getting the hammer down. There's Alonso. We're going to rejoin just behind him, I think, or can we just get alongside? No, we're going to be just behind, but we're very last behind, and I can see a Mercedes of Hamilton there. So we've made the overcut work, as I've just had a bad back end, just cold tyres not switching on the car, and I've just let Bottas go and Vettel. So bad mistake to make. Just the cold tyres, just lost the back end there, something that never really happens. And now I've got grass on my tyres, and I'm struggling here. As now I've got Hamilton behind me on medium tyres, so he's probably going to the end on those. But we've now got the grass off the tyres, I think, so I can now push on. But that was a big shame because we made the overcut work beautifully, and now we've got to do the work again, which is a real shame. Here's Verline. He just lost 2 places to Seb and Valtteri. I'm just all over the back of him. I've not got DRS. That goes to show how much time they lost battling it out. But we're going to go side by side here with Pascal, who I think does have DRS. But we're just going to go up the inside. There's Ocon exits in the pit lane. We're going to take the inside line into turn 1 here and make the move on the Sauber driver. And now we can get the hammer down and try and go after Vettel and Valtteri Bottas. Alonso again absolutely destroyed by both of these guys in the straight line. But they've both gotten past. That's how fast and how slow the McLaren, you could say, is. We're just going to stick our nose in. Not quite able to make the move, unfortunately, but we are keeping up with these guys, no problem. The pace is good, so we should be fairly quickly getting past these guys. We are going to have to overtake Fernando real quickly here. He does have DRS, to be fair, so that's going to give him some good speed. He's actually going to go defensive into turn 1. I'm having none of it, though, as we take the inside line. Fantastic move, and Ricciardo has overcut me, as he's just exiting the pit lane, so that's another guy we've lost the position to. And this race is really not turning out well for me so far, bottling the major strategy decisions, and overall just not a good start. I mean, we had a poor start to the race, a poor pit stop, and we couldn't get past the Mercedes guys. You know, just a real struggle. So far we've got to try and find something here today, because otherwise Raikkonen's going to get a big points overhaul on us this weekend. It looks like there's a huge train of cars beginning to form here, and there's at least 6 cars in this exact train. So things are going to get very tasty very soon. There's Verstappen. Luckily, he hasn't overcut us. But look at this. These cars up ahead are going side by side, and they're going to cost everyone time. As Ricciardo makes a move on Magnussen, Vettel slowing down drastically there. And there's going to be a question of making the moves here. Magnussen's going to cause a big pile up, so we've got to try and make these moves tactically as we go on the outside. Look at the speed we have. Magnussen's just got no pace at all, and I think their medium tyres might be struggling. But look at that, we've just got so much more grip on these tyres. We're looking all over the back of Magnussen to make the move, left, right, centre, darting all over the place. Can we go around the outside of K-Mag here? Surely not. Oh, that's risky, onto the grass. But we've made the move around the outside. Something's happened behind us, and I don't know exactly what it is. Someone's in the gravel, so I have to see what's happened there. I'll have to watch that back in the replay cam. But we've got gravel on our tyres, but crucially, we've gotten past Vettel and Bottas. So very aggressive moves, very rash, but we had to make them. And we're now in clean air again in P6. So let's try and get the hammer down and chase after Ricciardo. Right, Seb's all over the back of me here. He's got some incredible pace, and the Ferraris do feel pretty quick around this circuit. I mean, Raikkonen's do 1:30s, which does also lead me to believe that Raikkonen might be on a super soft. So if that's the case, then this race isn't over just yet. Oh, that's so close. Around the outside of Vettel. Have we held on to it? Yes, we have. I was saying I've got a suspicion Raikkonen might be on super softs because he did a 1:30 something. So that's a very, very fast lap time to produce if he's on medium tyres. So we might not be out of this race just yet. Here comes Seb again. He's going to go up my inside into turn 1 here. Oh, very close, but not quite enough. He couldn't commit to the move, so luckily he stays behind. And now we are getting close to Ricciardo, who's caught up behind Carlos Sainz, oddly enough. So this should be a very, very good opportunity for us to retake 3rd place, and technically the net 2nd behind Carlos Sainz, and that would mean that we are now behind Raikkonen, which would be some very good damage limitation, but we have to get past these 2 guys first. So let's try and line up for a move, and I am thinking possibly the hairpin here, because Ricciardo's going to be slowed down by the medium running signs into their brake zone, so we might have a chance here if we're good enough on the brakes. And let's have a look here. Are we close enough? Oh, I've had a look. Ricciardo's actually let me have the space, but he's just got too much grip on those tyres. Those are a couple laps fresher than mine, so he's got the grip on those compared to me. But we are going to get past these 2 guys fairly swiftly. We do have the better power unit, so it should be a fairly simple move. Also, Vettel, Bottas and Hamilton all looking very racy behind here. This train being formed behind the Toro Rosso of Carlos Sainz. So let's see how this all unfolds. But I think Ricciardo now is very close to making a move, and I think he's going to go for it this time as he goes up the inside of Carlos Sainz. Meanwhile, Sebastian Vettel's catching me up in a straight line. He's going to go up the inside of me into 130R. Surely not. I'm going to go around the outside. He's made it. He hasn't really made it work. I'm going to go around the outside of Carlos Sainz into the brake zone, into the chicane. Can we pull it off? We're going to take the inside for the next corner, squeeze him out on the exit, and there we go. We've got past Sainz. Crucially, though, Ricciardo has stayed ahead, but luckily we've got some breathing space to Sebastian Vettel. And look at this, it's all going to kick off behind us as we continue on our way here, chasing after Daniel Ricciardo into turn 1. But let's see what happens now. Let's see what our pace is like behind Ricciardo, who's now in clean air. I've had a shocking exit out of the spoon curve, and this is going to put Vettel right on my gearbox as we go into 130. The question is he going to commit to the move here? It looks like he's not going for it, actually, surprisingly enough. Ricciardo's pulling away. He's got some incredible pace. I don't know what it is, but we're struggling for pace now on this tyre. There's a reason why I didn't run this in Q2, because I didn't feel like this tyre was working for me. And the Super Soft was working nicely for me. I was faster than the Mercedes cars, but once again, once I'm on this tyre, I can't seem to switch it on. I'm Red Bull pace, if not worse, and that's pretty concerning as Vettel's gone for the undercut. So let's see how this all folds out, but right now I'm a little bit concerned. Right, there's Raikkonen in the pit lane, so he's coming for his last stop onto soft compound tyres, so let's see how this all unfolds, but I think Raikkonen's got this wrapped up unless something goes wrong for him in this final stint. Right, so I'm going to come in this lap to respond to those who have pit for soft tyres again, and also to try and undercut Daniel Ricciardo. So let's see if we can get this pit entry now. There we go, pretty comfortable. Not going to push it too much because I want to take it easy, but let's hope that we can have a good stop. Another 2 seconds, please. That would be fantastic. We don't have the pace today, I've realised. We are struggling for pace, so we're going to have to do it on the track, I think, and also use a little bit of rich mix and just basically use all the tools that I have and all the tricks up my sleeve to try and get a result today. P2 is a possibility, but it's got to be absolutely perfect from now until the checkered flag, so everything's got to be flawless. Vettel's on mediums, that's going to give me the opportunity to get past him, but like I said, every lap, everything's got to be perfect from now until the checkered flag. So we've had a pretty messed up race so far, really bottling the made decisions, but now we are going to make this a very good final stint. I have to make it a good final stint, and I have to get P2 to limit the damage in the championship. Alright, we've got a few cars in the pit lane, and the one that we're going to pass now is Hamilton, but the question is, where are we on track? Hamilton I thought was going to the end, but he's not. He can't make their mediums last, so that is pretty much now me and my concerns out of the way, so we can definitely get P2 now, and that is on the cards. Hamilton was my only concern, him going to the end of mediums, but because of him coming in, that's basically giving me a chance to get P2, and also Ricciardo hasn't pit, and we just did a purple middle sector last time round, so we've got the pace. Let's try and use it. Personal best, Ocon in the pit lane. We're going to fly past him. He's going for super soft tyres. That's very good because that's a nice aggressive strategy from our teammate, but we're now chasing after Danny Kvyat, who got overtaken by Sebastian Vettel now, so let's try and get past him. Right, I'm in Rich Mix. This is going to be a very simple overtake on Danny Kvyat. I've cranked up to Rich this very lap to pick up the pace because Ricciardo still hasn't pitted, so I'm going to expect him to go onto super soft, so we have to come out ahead of him no matter what because he's going to be faster than me on the super soft compound tyres. 1 minute 30.9, fastest final sector, about half a second slower than what Hamilton's doing, and also Kimi Raikkonen, but Hamilton is on super soft, so the pace is pretty good at the moment. Vettel's pace on mediums is very, very good. I'm very impressed by his, but on raw pace we aren't the fastest guy, but we've got to make these laps on the undercut count over Ricciardo because that's what's going to give us the position over him, and also I've got to try and get past Vettel. If not, it's going to really hurt me, and Ferrari are going to do a number on me, but I've just got no signs of getting past Vettel at the moment. His pace is way too good on those tyres. Right, another personal best, 30.7, and Ricciardo's in the pit lane. He's onto super soft compound tyres, and there he is. So we're going to be ahead of Ricciardo. Unfortunately, Ricciardo won't come out behind Lewis Hamilton, but he's going to be on fresh supers. His pace is going to be incredible, so he's going to be the major threat now for the rest of the Grand Prix. Right, car in the pits, that's going to promote me into P3 and Seb into P2. That's Max Verstappen going to super soft compound tyres. So right now, the gap between me and Vettel will stay 2.2 for the last few laps now. I just don't know what to do. I'm even in standard mix, and the gap's not shifting, so I don't know what to do. I just got to keep pushing and hope Vettel makes a mistake. Here comes Ricciardo. He's got the run on me now. He's going to pull to the inside into 130R. Will he commit to? He's going to hold it on the inside. I'm going to go around the outside here. Side-by-side action into the final chicane. Bollard is gone. I'm going to take the inside line, squeeze Ricciardo out. I'm having absolutely none of it and focus on getting a good exit, which I have done, and try and get some good speed down the pit straight. And I think we're going to be safe from a DRS attack, at least for this lap. But right now, we're under pressure from Ricciardo, and also Hamilton's not too far behind. Oh my god! Raikkonen out of the race with 3 laps to go, or 2 as we cross the line. Massive for the championship, absolutely massive. Raikkonen out of the Japanese Grand Prix out of nowhere. There he is on the left hand side. That was not expected. I was honestly counting the numbers in the championship in my head as all of a sudden that message popped up on screen. Raikkonen out of the race, and that is a hammer blow for the Drivers' Championship, and that is going to blow things wide open for me now. And I've got to now nurse this car home because this second place is going to mean gold dust for me in the championship. Here comes Ricciardo, last lap of the race, DRS wide open. He's got a huge run on me. I'm going to squeeze him as much as I can to the inside of turn 1. Oh, it's very close, but we've managed to hold on there and hold on to our second place. Good old squeeze into turn 1 always does the trick. And there we go, we've held on to second for now. The lap isn't over yet, but Vettel is looking like he's going to win this race now out of nowhere. Right, into the final chicane. I think we've done it. We're going to hold on to the second place. So Sebastian Vettel is going to win the Japanese Grand Prix. But here we go through the final corner, and we're going to come home for a brilliant second place. And wow, that is massive for the championship. I still can't believe that happened. Raikkonen out, retires from the Japanese Grand Prix in spectacular fashion. And the man who's dominated the last 2 championships, who knows, might be letting go of his crown this season earlier than expected after that massive championship. Just game changer. I don't know the words for it, but that just changes it completely now. And the Ferrari will be happy they won the race, but they'll be absolutely devastated that Raikkonen is out. So I don't know, what can you say? Vettel did what he had to do for his team, and you know, also keep Raikkonen, you know, just reduce the amount of points he would lose. But wow, really just, that race is blown it wide open now. And I think Vettel, I mean, he's going to gain 25 points on Kimi, so is Vettel now sort of back in this race? I don't really know. I need to look at the points, but that's going to give me a massive points boost going into the next race. But oh my days, we got away with one here because we didn't have the pace, and the soft tire wasn't really working for me. I tried it again a second time, and it just didn't work. I couldn't switch it on. So a good decision not to run it in qualifying, in my opinion. But a bit of investigating needs to be done there because that tire was not working for me. But still, second place. I'm not going to complain. Vettel wins at Japan, but we're now going to jump into the final race results, drivers and constructors standings after that incredible, hectic race. So looking at the final race results after that race, Sebastian Vettel wins it, and I come home in second place ahead of Daniel Ricciardo, and then Lewis Hamilton just misses out on the podium in 4th place. Esteban Ocon brings it home in a very good P5, and then Max Verstappen in P6 for the second Red Bull, then Grosjean in 7th, Carlos Sainz in 8th, Nico Hulkenberg in P9, and Felipe Massa rounds out the point scoring positions. But in terms of the retirements, the big one, Kimi Raikkonen out of the Japanese Grand Prix, and that's going to affect the championship majorly now going into the next few races. Also Bottas there down in P16, but as you can see in the Drivers' Championship, we've got 34 points over Kimi Raikkonen now, so a big lead in the Drivers' Championship with only 4 more races to go. So Raikkonen really has his work cut out, because right now I can win the championship as early as Brazil if I keep the gap over 25 points. So Raikkonen does have major work to do in the next races, and you know, the pressure's sort of off me for now for a little while, so I can just sort of focus on myself and take it very easily. But if we now glance over to the constructors after that race, obviously Raikkonen retiring is going to give a big boost for Force India as a constructor, as you can see there, and we are 57 points behind Ferrari. The gap's going to be hard to catch, but you never know, it might be possible to maybe catch them and make something happen before the end of the season. But that's pretty much going to wrap things up here for Japan, guys, and I hope you have enjoyed the episode. Like I said, if you have enjoyed it, please do slap a like on the video, 250 likes, and I'll try and get the next episode up tomorrow. Also, if you're new to the channel, why not subscribe for plenty more F1 content, and also check out the videos on screen right now if you have missed them, and also check out the full playlist link down below in the description if you have missed any of the past episodes from any of the past 3 seasons. And finally, check out GT Omega, the links down below in the description, 5% off if you use Tom7 at checkout. But other than that, guys, I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.